And we're back as we continue to take a look at doing business in the new normal. I have with me on the line Gabriel Faria, Chief Executive Officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Good morning.
Good morning, Lisa.
Gabriel, let's go right into the chamber now. Does the chamber have a sense of the impact of COVID-19 on businesses in Trinidad and Tobago in a real sense now that the economy has opened back up?
Well, we use the term open back up, and somebody was using the term post-COVID. I think we need to understand that opening doors does not mean we're opening businesses. We've been touching base with so many businesses that have tried to reach out to understand what's happening, why is demand so sluggish. And the reality is that globally, the reopening of doors have only identified that we have a new consumer. We have a new consumer. There are new terms it's called home entertainment. It's home entertainment, home exercise. So what we have is we have a new world that we're living in. And I really believe that this is going to really make the fourth industrial revolution come to life.
Mm-hmm.
It was steam, electricity, digital. Today, consumers are different, and this is really a whole new world order. And we as businesses have to learn how to deal with our consumers in this new world order and how we deal with their pain points.
Mm-hmm. And I know that you guys have been doing some work for your businesses and business members. We're going to come to that, but does the chamber at this time have a dollar value in terms of revenue loss over the period at all?
Oh, well, I guess when we talk to businesses, and it's interesting, when you look at basic commodities, although people were buying, the fact is that there was not enough cash in the system, so people could not afford to buy as much as they should. When you look at luxury goods, and I'm looking at a survey on another screen, and you look at basic commodities versus luxury goods. Luxury goods, probably for the first 6 months of the year, would have been down maybe as much as 30%. And those last 3 months, of course, they were closed, so they couldn't have. They had no activity.
Yeah.
Basic commodities, a lot of supermarkets said while they had a lot of activity, the business was lower, the margins were lower because people were buying more basic foods. I'm less worried about where we were. I'm more worried about where we're going to be. And I think it's important that as a government, and the business organization, we really look at what we need to do to stimulate the economy.
Mm-hmm.
We really need to identify how we get that consumer who is so concerned about where their paycheck is coming from next week or next month, how we get that consumer to feel comfortable, and how we work together to encourage the consumer to get out there.
Yeah. And speaking of which, the chamber issued a statement on the media reviews indicating that they pegging the revenue to $25 a barrel for oil, and the 2.4% increase is not necessarily aligned with the COVID realities. Do you care to comment on that?
This morning I was hearing it on your station and the other stations. The economists have done such an excellent job of commenting on the credibility of the numbers that I can't do it justice. I mean, my greatest disappointment really is not if they're unrealistic. I think the economists have said what they had to say. My greatest disappointment is we have to recognize that our government does something called cash accounting. Cash accounting means it only incurs income or expenditure at its discretion. So if it does not pay a supplier, it's not going to have an expense. We have been, again, our role is to really advocate on behalf of our constituent base. And right now, the government, I gave an estimate. I'd love the Minister of Finance to validate or tell me it's wrong. I gave an estimate that the government owes suppliers over $5 billion. So if the government does not pay that $5 billion, then it's quite possible he can manage his expenses. Again, we have a situation where businesses have reached out to me, and Lisa, is interesting. We talk about the businesses not having activity for 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
right, and probably having low activity in X3. But the government is actually trying to charge businesses taxes based on last year's income. Very few businesses, and I was looking this morning at another set of results. Almost every business is showing reduced incomes, even the banks, even the banks. So it would really be irresponsible of the Board of Inland Revenue to charge businesses taxes based on last year's income. Now, if you don't pay suppliers, and if you charge businesses incomes on last year tax on last year's income, and if you don't pay the balance of the VAT refunds, which by the way my estimate is $2.5 billion, it's
Mm-hmm.
quite possible to achieve the numbers the Minister of Finance has said. At one of our post-budget um, discussions, he says, I didn't come here for sterile debate and academic discussion. And at the end of the day, I think basically what we are having is, if it's negative 2.4, positive 2.7, is really an academic discussion, because the minister has the power to make the number he has put out happen by not paying suppliers, by not paying VAT, and by overstating tax income.
Now, if
So
you,
let's
mhm,
put that away and let's make sure we do the right thing.
yeah, but now if you don't charge the taxes based on last year's income, what's the recommendation? What's the suggestion there?
Well, what businesses have asked is that it's normal, and the Act has it, that when you have an event like this, you write the Board of Inland Revenue and you say, we had a major event occur. It's irresponsible to charge me taxes based on 2019's income, and we need to get it evaluated based on the current year's income. We've written the Minister of Finance. We've spoken to it on the media, and the Minister of Finance is basically ignoring our requests.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is something that, as we speak on behalf of the business community, and this is every business, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Think about a bar or rum shop that's been closed for 3 months. Last year they would have made maybe 100 or 400,000, and they're paying taxes on that. This year they've been closed. They haven't made profits, they've made losses. To take the cash and to make them pay that in based on last year's income, as I said, is irresponsible. I hope the Board of Inland Revenue and the Ministry of Finance will deal with that. But let's talk about business in the future, because
Yeah.
those two things, I am hoping that the government will do the right thing. I'm hoping that, because businesses employ voters, they wouldn't want to see voters out of jobs. So
Yeah.
let's talk about business instead.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to ask you one more question on the taxes. I know, because I'm a business owner as well, so obviously it would benefit me, what you're saying. But from the economic standpoint, isn't that those taxes allocated? I know you're talking cash flow, but wouldn't those taxes have been allocated from the previous year's accounts?
No. So it's interesting, because I'm happy you want to pursue this discussion, because it's very personal to me. The reality is that every year you pay taxes on prior year's profit. And then in the last quarter, which basically normally ends up being April in this current year, you then have to top up or pay if it's more or less. But we are paying now based on last year, but we have paid last year's already. The only reason they charge us tax now based on last year is to be sure they have a consistent revenue stream coming into the government.
Mm-hmm.
So we have already paid last year's tax. That's not the issue. This year we are paying this year's tax, and the tax should be on the right figure. But as I said, I think it's irresponsible. I'm very disappointed that the Inland Revenue Department is taking such a irresponsible position in trying to extract money from businesses that that don't have the cash flow, Lisa. I mean, you say you're in business, you can understand this. Think about those event planners that last year had huge events and this year don't have any, and they have to pay taxes based on for this year's profit on an inflated, overstated income.
Hmm. All right, I want to get in the chamber and how the chamber is preparing or has been preparing to support businesses as they move forward.
Well, I can tell you that in March we launched a new concept. It is called Chamber Scale Up. And it really was to create an ecosystem to bring together the ideas, the money, the mentorship to move from concept to commercialization.
Yeah.
You know, there are some amazing ideas out there, but ideas alone are not going to succeed. You need the financial support. That's one piece of the puzzle. That's angel investment. And mentorship is another one. I always remember Uber and, you know, amazing idea, but the leadership was weak. So when you look at combining angel investment, leveraging the experience, the connections to commercialize the concept, that's where the chamber can bring its membership, bring its experience, bring people like you, like me, who have gone through this and work with young entrepreneurs to take them to the next level. And I think that here is what we see as a key driver to drive the new economy. You know, I've been reading over the weekend virtual reality and augmented reality. We're not talking about that in Trinidad. We're talking about deliveries.
Yeah.
But today, the future is not going to be going somewhere, but somewhere coming to you, because our whole mindset of health, of safety, is going to change the way people consume. Are we going to travel as much as we used to, or is Rome going to come to us? Is China going to come to us? Are we? And when I read over this weekend what augmented reality and virtual reality is going to be in the future, I think it's a whole new world. It's exciting. It's an opportunity for many of our entrepreneurs to really make a mark, because digitalization, or we actually have an award called the Technology Award, Technology Business Award, and it's boundaryless, it's constructively disruptive, and you could play in the entire world sphere sitting right here on this rock in Trinidad. That's a
Yeah.
real opportunity for us. What we need to do is fund that project, support the young entrepreneurs with the capacity to really scale their businesses. And I think we have significant opportunity in spite of the government, in spite of what numbers the government put out. And once
Hmm.
they pay their bills, once they don't, once you do end up with another VAT refund issue, I think there's significant opportunity for business coming forward. Yes, it's going to be a tough 2020. It's going to be a tough 2021. But out of this, we will come out stronger.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And it's not just tough for Trinidad and Tobago. That's the thing. It's a world phenomenon. And it's really out of chaos comes opportunity, and the opportunity to innovate and create. And that's where I get excited, because, you know, you're seeing growth areas, as you say, in the fourth industrial revolution, in technology and so on. And we've actually started to see some of that happening here in Trinidad and Tobago. Gabriel, Faria. Any closing remarks before I let you go? Gabriel.
A strong business community is a prerequisite for a prosperous Trinidad and Tobago. Let's work together. Let the government, let labor, let business, let us come together and let us come out of this stronger because of the collaboration.
I could not agree with you more. Gabriel, Faria, thank you very much. Continue to keep safe and continue the work that the Chamber is doing to help stimulate the economic activity in the country. That was Gabriel Faria, Chief Executive Officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce.